Hello, everyone. Marty, it's good to see you.
You too, Christy, always.
So, I'm really excited for today. We're going to be talking about the winter solstice because we're coming right up onto that. And I want to give you a little bit of a brief history about what is the winter solstice. Some people have never heard of it or don't understand it. And I would tell you to please understand it's been going on for thousands of years. Many of the sacred sites around the planet are based on how the light comes in through the stones on the winter solstice, the new light coming in. It's one of the oldest, what they call a high holy day. And long before we had like calendars and clocks and religions, people watched the sun for the changing of the seasons. And they noticed the days were growing shorter and the nights actually were stretching out longer. And then this one night, they call it a sacred pause, where the sun stood still. Solstice literally means sun stands still.
Mm.
And you can see behind me, I have some candles lit. It's bringing in the light from the dark. And fire is part of that. It's a natural light. And with ancient cultures, it's it was a time of survival or reverence from survival to rest and trust because literally it's the darkest, longest day, the shortest day of the year, and it's the darkest part. And so, with our podcast today, we're inviting that part of you that might be uncomfortable to sit in the darkness, literally and figuratively, because we can't see in the dark. And there's wisdom in not being able to see because our minds aren't engaged and we literally start coming back into the body. What am I feeling in the darkness? And that's our intention behind the podcast. The solstice marks the longest or the shortest day of the year, the longest night of the year, and it's a symbolic death of old cycles.
Mhm.
So through the year, we hopefully we notice things that we don't want to have continuing into the next year. So that would be a death of an old cycle and a rebirth of ourselves. In this year, what's called the year of the snake in Chinese astrology. And the representation of the snake is the shedding of skin. Now, remember, the snake doesn't die when it sheds skin, but it sheds skin and then it continues to slither on its belly on the mother, which is the earth. The snake trusts that the skin will just absorb into the earth and be used for other things. So there's nothing bad or toxic about a shedding that we do. It actually helps us grow. It helps our soul to develop better. It at its core, the winter solstice is really reminding us that we don't have to keep forcing life. We don't have to force healing. We don't have to force to become a better person because all of that is outside of us. And our invitation for the winter solstice together with Marty is coming back into our space and that gentle pause with the solstice and how that could look. So, Marty, with that, I welcome you into the process as we talk about it. So here we are.
Yeah, I love it. What when I was listening to you, Christy, what it made me think of is my husband has a stomach bug. And I noticed yesterday I started to feel a little off and I just got over being sick. And I was trying to will myself not to get sick again. And then all of a sudden I'm like, Art, surrender. Like if you do, you do. And it was so amazing, Christy, because as soon as I just surrendered and let go, I started feeling better. I'm like, whoa. Yeah, like the ego was like, no, no way, we're banish you. We're not going to let this happen. I just got over something. I don't need something else. And then it was like, Mart, that's a lot of efforting to try. So I just think of that shedding and letting go. And then I just felt lighter and better. I felt completely different today.
And that's the power of surrender. And that's a
Mhm.
word. I appreciate you bringing that in, Marty, because sometimes, and I know at different times in my life, when someone tells me to surrender,
Oh,
every part of my body's like, no, and you cannot make me do that. And I go into a whole diatribe about why you're wrong about me surrendering,
right.
which makes me laugh. That's my rebel archetype talking. And the older I get, hopefully, the more wisdom I'm gathering in that how I understand surrender is exactly like what you said. If my mind is fighting against a loop or a belief or an expectation, there's an unwillingness in me to surrender that I don't know, or I might be wrong. And the surrendering to what the loop is, or to even the sickness, because you couldn't stop it if you tried.
No.
But there's two parts to that. And if it's helpful to think of, if you can imagine in your mind an infinity loop, okay? So with our breath goes in and our breath goes out. And if you can imagine that infinity loop, the surrendering happens on the out breath. So we bring the body into the surrender, not just our heads, because otherwise that's way too much work again. So I surrender with my out breath and I receive with the in breath.
Mm.
It's the masculine and feminine parts of the breath. There's masculine and feminine, which is doing, masculine, receiving, feminine in everything. And when we can see it as something that I don't need to wrap my brain around it, but I can understand that fighting to the death to believe that I'm right about something or that someone hurt me only keeps me in bondage.
Oh God, yeah.
And my body contracts, my brain starts creating all kinds of stories around it. And when that happens, to practice, I surrender with my breath because it's so important to bring your body into that looping. I
Mm.
surrender and I receive because, like it or not, we do receive breath every time we breathe out. And we might as well bring intention to that on this day of the winter solstice. I think it's helpful to do every day, but this specifically, it's setting intentions for slowing down and being present with what is, which is our breath.
That's so well said. Yeah, especially in our, I mean, I always say very toxic culture that's very yang and very like, do it, make it happen, which we've talked about many times. And I mean, I have that in spades. So it's always a journey for me to be like, Mart, like, chill, just take a breath, like,
Yeah.
watch the birds, forever. It was interesting too, Christy. Like, I feed hummingbirds, and I saw on this one social media where these people are like, you should pull the food up, around like, I can't remember what it is, like towards mid-November to make sure that the hummingbirds move on. And I was thinking, don't they know? Like, aren't they in the cycles of nature? They gotta know. And so I looked it up, and it's like, no, the hummingbirds respond to light getting less. And that's when they know to leave. It has nothing to do with the food source. They'll leave if all the feeders are full. And I was like, yeah, it's the innate intelligence of nature. And like they sense the like days are getting shorter, so they migrate. And I'm like, imagine that.
Such more human as trying to control Mother Nature.
Right, right, right.
And I would bring into that, Marty, the innate intelligence. I call it also divine intelligence,
Yes.
is in our bodies. We are part of nature, and
Hmm.
our connection with nature is what keeps us grounded. It reminds us that we're not in charge.
Right.
Natural disasters happen, life happens, the wind moves regardless, just like our lungs breathe regardless of what we think or will not do, and our heart beats. That's innate intelligence.
Yeah, absolutely.
We can learn to trust and ask questions from our intelligence, from the body. We can actually create a better relationship with ourselves as we get acquainted with ourselves.
Hmm. It's so true, Christy. And I mean, it's just so true. I think of very simplistic things like that, breathing in and out. It's so easy to take all of that for granted because it
Yeah.
happens, we're not asking to be breathed, we're breathing. And then to be like, wow, it's just happening automatically. And even to pause and do that and focus on that. And I do notice this a lot when I do go to the breath. I really start to notice how I come back into the body
Mm.
and I become more grounded. And it's like, oh yeah, I'm in a body. Instead of like, can you open both doors so I can get my head through there?
Oh, yes. I and it sounds so simplistic. And I think when there's an activation, it isn't simple
No.
because it's not simple for various
Yeah.
reasons. And the challenge is to flex that muscle of trusting that if I connect with my breath, if I come back into my own body, my nervous system will regulate, which it will.
Yes.
And I'm not going to die, which you won't, because you're going to breathe anyway.
Yes.
Your body's going to function anyway.
Yeah.
And to start trusting it more and practicing giving it something, which is breath, which is
Hmm.
consciousness. Do I feel my feet on the floor? When I look at the mountains, do I notice them? Like, and the hummingbirds and the winter birds, if you have winter birds around. But the
Lots of them. Yep.
stillness piece is so, so important within this time of year.
Yeah. Yeah. We were talking, Christy, before before we hit record and about that idea of ritual, and that word, which we talked about. I mean, having grown up Catholic and all these rituals that really didn't end up meaning anything. And I know for me, you're like ritual. That can be like, excuse me. But I like to your point when we were talking earlier, we're ritualistic every day. My dogs, my animals have rituals that I'm in with them now, and they love the rituals. They know, oh, we're going to get up, we're going to go for a hike, we're going to do this. My cat's like, it's time to be fed. And to your point, like with the solstice coming, it's that whole idea of can we find those simple, use the word rituals that work for us that are helpful. And I loved your thoughts on that. So I'd love to hear you speak more to that.
We've been around on the planet for a long time, and ritual is part of what helps our nervous system settle. So, for example, some people get up out of bed. Most of us as humans do the exact same thing every single day. I have my coffee before I shower, or I journal. I might pray or meditate before I shower. The creation of a ritual helps our system know what to expect. And when our ritual is off, like I didn't get my coffee because I got up too late, or we brush our teeth the same way, we dry off in the shower the same way, because it helps us feel some sense of control. But
Hmm.
also, there's a sense of safety around ritual.
Absolutely.
And it's if we look back in time, like the winter solstice, the ritual was for families and communities to gather around a raging fire and enjoy community.
I love it.
And so, yeah, if you do have a charge with that word, which some people do, notice what it's about. And then can you invite in another perspective
Hmm.
versus staying in the space of nope, can't do that, because that's another binding that happens when we become rigid.
Yeah.
And over time, that's not helpful because it creates binding in the body and armoring bands that get really, really tight because we want to hold on to our beliefs.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
what I love about ritual, especially the winter solstice, every year we do a fire and we all say what we love about each other.
Ooh, I love this.
Give gratitude for one thing. I keep it super simple because I've had my boys as part of this since they were tiny. But what I love about it is the community space of tell me what you love about me. So we also do that. One thing I love about each person and one thing I'm grateful for. And so it creates a connection. It's um it literally is a pause in time
Mm,
to see, to acknowledge, and to belong. And
I
some
love
people
that.
don't have family to have a fire with. So,
Yeah.
what I would encourage you to do is light a candle. I have some candles lit behind me. It doesn't have to be a fire. I would suggest a candle and coming into a space of prayer, meditation, of gratitude. And also, what is it you would like to shed? Year of the snake this year. What would you like to let go of? And what would you like to bring in? Well, I would like to practice gratitude more. I would like to react less. I would like to regulate my nervous system more.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so true, Chrissy. Like I've noticed in myself personally, a huge thing that I'm shedding this year is that caring about the opinion of others. I mean, it's been a journey, but it just has been in my face all year long about like, we had talked about this before, being misunderstood, being misrepresented. And it's
Mm.
like, wait, like I didn't have that intention at all. And then to not respond, to not defend, to not like set the record straight. That has been so huge for me. And even my husband has said this about me. He goes, Mart, more than anyone I've ever met in my life, you always seek to resolve stuff. He goes, I think sometimes to a fault, that a detriment to you. And I totally agree with that. And to just notice like they can think whatever they want. I know the truth, and that's been this big piece of shedding for me. And it's amazing the different relationships that it's shown up in. And
Mm.
I like what I would say is I feel it's a journey, but I definitely notice more emotional fitness or maturity about it, where it's like, I don't have to explain myself here. It's okay that someone chooses to see me the way they do. And, that's just been such a profound thing for me. And then I was like, oh, I'm so curious. We're going into the year of the horse, like galloping into the new, and I'm like, I'm curious what's going to show up.
I love that. I had an experience the other day, Marty. It reminds me of that. I had had a dream this week about this person that I had set a boundary with that I'm getting better at setting boundaries. But I set a boundary. Um, I was really clear about the why. And I had the dream that this person, we were both working out at the gym. He comes up to me and he's like, Hey, Christy. And I looked at him and I said, You can't be nice to me. We haven't resolved this. And I went through this whole thing in my dream and I woke up and my system was obviously activated. I'm like, who does he think he is? And I went through the whole loop in my brain. And then as I was exercising, getting in my body, I started laughing because I thought, oh my God, Christy, you're attached to an outcome. Number one, you can't control the outcome, but you're attached to being right.
Oh, yes.
And you want him to understand your point of view. Number
Yeah.
one, it's not your business what his point of view is.
Yeah.
You were very clear, emotional fitness about why the boundary is placed. And it's okay to let it go.
Yeah.
This is about you right now, not him.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
my need to be right.
Yeah. And I
And
love that.
it's
Yeah.
hysterical because I'm like, oh,
Yeah. Yeah. And it's funny, Chrissy, as you say that, because in like these two instances that I can think of with two different people, I was like, oh, wow. Yeah. There is absolutely an aspect in there of needing to be right. Like, I'm going to set the record straight.
yeah.
I'm going to let them know what the truth is. And then it's like to keep coming back to
Well,
like,
that's the exercise.
huge. It's actually three people now that I think about it. Yeah, it's this whole year has been like, shedding, shedding, shedding. Yeah. I love that. And the dreams, like my husband always call that coyote medicine.
Ah,
Sometimes it shows up in dreams. It's like the coyote's the trickster, and it's going to come and be like, hey, where you at with this? And to bring you back to like, where am I at with this? And to me, it's absolutely so important to give yourself your truth, to
yeah,
allow yourself your feelings about it, not like we talked about spiritual bypass, happy thoughts through gritted teeth. It's
not
it's like,
helpful.
yeah, no, it's like, and that's why I love tapping because I can just tap through and sometimes just sit and feel it. And then it's like, oh wow, I can respond differently and keep getting better at this.
Yeah, because it takes practice.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, it totally does. Yeah.
I remember when I first started my adult life, 18, 19, going to college, and I was listening to Dr. Wayne Dyer, who's passed.
Yes.
He was talking about what we're talking about, and his one of the favorite quotes is, "What you think of me is none of my business."
Right.
And I remember the first time I heard that, I could not, like, intellectually, yes. And then
Yeah,
part of me like, but,
totally. Totally.
and today I can so appreciate it because my dream showed me that I was still holding on to what he thought of me.
Right.
And
Yeah.
it's a powerful statement. And I say that often when I get attached to what other people think of me,
Yeah.
because I think that's natural too.
Absolutely. It's part
Unless
of the
you're
human
a complete
condition.
narcissist,
Yeah. Right.
there are those that don't care what people think.
Yeah. Oh, no, not at all.
I would say, in general, most people are aware,
Yes.
and that's about kindness. And like what Liam said, I agree with that. Resolution is part of relationship with you. And I know, Marty, that's why I love working with you, is because you're honest with me. I have this space to be honest with you. And
Yeah.
resolution is on the table.
Always. Right.
And
Yeah.
to me, that's very, very valuable in a relationship.
Very much so.
And it
Yeah.
takes practice.
It sure does. Right. It sure does. And I think it's that it's especially with the challenging people.
What?
That's the one you're like, oh,
Yeah.
dig the heels in and like, and then it's like, no. Because as much as I have the warrior in me, I'm very aware of like what the child in me that's like, no, don't think bad of me. Like, don't, no, don't. And then it's like, it's okay, sweetie. You're okay, sweetie. It's okay. It's okay.
So true. So true. And so many of our podcasts this year, Marty, have been about uncovering shadow meaning the parts of us in the dark. And I use the word darkness because of the solstice,
Yes.
the parts of us that we are blind to, the parts of us that we can't see.
Right.
And sometimes it's helpful to ask in that darkness of quiet and not distraction, no TV, no phone, no book. How am I feeling?
Right.
What's going on? And to just sit with that and
Yeah.
give permission that you don't have to solve it today. You don't need to know what's next. You don't need to be better by the end of the year.
Right.
Winter solstice is a time to ask us to pause in the darkness.
Mhm.
What
Yeah.
is what is needing to be shed?
Yeah. Yeah, and it makes me think of that idea of embracing the darkness, and that's embracing our shadow side.
Yeah.
Instead of like so many of us resist it, don't like that about themselves. And, I think about, with my daughter, and I think about when she was younger and things that I did, which you and I have talked about, where you're like, oh God, I've got to apologize for that. And then but it's like what really shifted it for me was to embrace the part of me that was wounded, that was in the dark and behaving the way I was, like the self-forgiveness piece. And that's like, it is like, there's a lot about darkness that I love. It's soothing, it's comforting, it can be all kinds of things. It can be spooky and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But there's ways that it's like, oh, this is so soothing just to be here in the dark.
And quiet.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's key too, is having quiet with the dark
Yes, absolutely.
and to notice if that's uncomfortable, to notice if you want to grab your phone, to notice if
Right.
you say, I hate the quiet. I always have to have noise. It makes me feel better. I would encourage you to step into that for 10 minutes
Yeah.
on the winter solstice because it's a sacred space, time and space on the planet.
Yeah,
And
very
we're
much
all
so.
together in community with the same planet.
Yeah.
Could
Yeah,
we
absolutely.
kind of come together, especially with all the chaos in the world, because there's a lot, to come into that space and send a prayer or a good intention for humanity,
Yes.
for ourselves and the greater whole.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's funny, I set an intention for the new year. My one girlfriend's always like, "What's your word for 2026?" And I go, "Patience." Chrissy, I died laughing. She goes, "You are the most impatient person." I go, "Exactly. That's exactly why that word is there." And I've noticed even, before the new year, like as like I was having very frustrating conversations for me the other day with the Sandoval County, which is the county I live in, the government, and like, how are these people this clueless and blah blah blah, and trying to get to the bottom of something. I'm still not to the bottom of it. And it was like, this is so annoying. But I noticed like that's where I'll start to get like, "Ugh," and I can start to get quite hostile after I've been like jockeyed around to eight different people and this and that. My patience is just out the window. So I would say to people, look, I'm starting to get pretty impatient with this and I don't want to lose it on you. So I'm just saying this out loud so that I don't, because I know this isn't your problem, but I'm really trying to work on like that. And they're like, wow, I really appreciate that because so many people just lose it. So I was like, yeah, it's the perfect word for me for 2026.
A great word.
It is.
And
Yeah.
it's something we can't buy.
No,
It
no.
has to be cultivated and practiced, and you're observing
Oh,
yourself.
yeah, yeah. I mean, that's why I was like dying laughing. She's like, "You're the most impatient person I know," and I'm like, "That's exactly why I need to do the word."
Okay, and Marty, let me just say, perhaps in parts of your life,
Yes,
okay,
yes.
because I think it's fair to do, like I've done enough
The
sessions
balance.
and I've had people that I've sent to you. There's a deep level of patience
Yeah, there absolutely is.
in that space. So I think we all have parts of us where we're impatient about driving or work
Right.
stuff, but I
Yes.
also experience you as very patient and intuitive when that's needed as well. And that comes naturally for you.
Yeah, thanks, Chrissy. And that is always a great reminder for all of us to be like, we all have like places where we're this way, like impatient, and then other places where you're like, wow, I'm infinitely patient. And I do see that, like, especially with clients, I do know, like, I have pretty infinite patience in
Yeah.
that because I understand we're dealing with a lot of emotional stuff. And it's like people need to feel safe knowing that, I'm not going to be like, oh my God, just get over it, which is what I was told as a kid.
Yeah.
But it's like, no, I definitely want to. And it's the continued practice,
Mm.
with myself and with seven animals. I have so many opportunities to be like, Mark, try and be patient here.
Oh, isn't that so true?
Yeah.
Animals and children
Yes.
teach
Yeah.
us to be patient if
Yeah.
we're willing to learn and see that we're impatient.
Yes. Absolutely.
And I think that's a great way to move into the winter solstices. Can we all be patient with this pause and what it
Yes.
creates in our nervous system
Yeah.
or our brains to start looping and come back into what matters, which is our body, our breath, that we don't have to be anything.
Right. It's
So
so true.
I'm excited to hear what you'll be tapping on today for us as
Yeah.
we move into the 2026.
Yeah.
Do some tapping.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just going to go with what comes. So, karate chop. Even though the darkness can scare me, the dark side of my nature can scare me. And maybe I really judge that part of me. I choose to acknowledge I feel this way now. Even though I'm headed into the shortest day of the year, the darkest day of the year, what if I can find a way to honor that,
Mm.
celebrate it, and welcome it from deep within me? I choose to acknowledge myself right now. Even though the darkest day of the year, I don't like that. But you know what comes after that?
Mm.
It starts to get lighter. And what if, instead of resisting it, I can find ritualistic ways that resonate with me to welcome it in? And go to the eyebrow. Hello, darkness, my old friend. There it is. And what if I can see the beauty in the darkness? That includes the shadow within me. It's like when it's really dark outside, I can see the stars. I can seldom see that in the daylight. So, what if this could be an intention to allow in this solstice with more mindfulness, more intention, and find a way that resonates with me, and to take that pause to welcome it in, to honor it, and allow it? Just short and sweet.
Mm. Well, and it's a short and sweet process.
Yeah.
And remember to pause. If you're tired, please let that be okay. If you're in grief and you're uncertain about the unknown, what's coming next, let that be okay. And remember that this season isn't about fixing ourselves, it's about staying and sitting with what is. As the light comes back in, it's an invitation to not force,
Yeah.
invitation to allow. It's part of the rhythm of nature, it's part of the rhythm of our own bodies. And it doesn't have to be hard.
No. And Chrissy, I thought of this. What I really love about your practice is that you have three men that do it with you,
Mm.
your boys, and you've literally taught, they've witnessed this over the years, and that's beautiful. Like, that's so beautiful. Yeah.
They, yes, it sometimes it makes me laugh because they know on like the solstice, the equinox, we always have a fire. Sometimes I'll
Yeah.
talk randomly and sometimes I get the eye roll and they still show up.
I
And
love it. I love
I
it.
so appreciate that because it's so important to me to
Yeah.
gather and to talk about what we love about each other. So
Hmm.
it's a really special time.
Yeah.
And I also wanted to bring in that Marty and I have a page together called Emotional Anatomy on Facebook. And we'll post this video on there and it's obviously on YouTube, but I'll also post instructions for a fire if you would like to do that.
Oh, I love that.
More detail about the solstice and how to set the container for the fire and do with it what you will. It's meant as a resource. So, because sometimes people have never heard of it, and I like to have education around that. So
I
please
love it.
share our podcast with those that might need a resource, especially that are alone or struggling.
Yeah,
Share this. And
absolutely.
thank you for being with us this year. It's been a great
Yes.
creation, Marty. Thank you for
Yeah, I love it.
and having me in your life. It's been a fun year so far with our podcast.
Total win-win.
Yeah. Thank you,
Thanks,
Marty,
Christy.
and happy holidays.
Yeah, you too.